So today I'm going to be doing a review of the Hyper E-Ride City. This is a entry-level e-bike that I bought for my wife, kind of an entry into the e-bike world. I have a high bike that I got a few months ago that I've been riding and really love the electric assist. And so I figured I'd try this one out for my wife to see if she likes it before we invest anything substantial into an e-bike, a second e-bike. So this thing was $398 on Walmart's website. The original price I think was $598, and they've dropped it now to $398, which is insane to think about for an e-bike because there's nothing else on the market that even comes close that's under $700 or $800. So I figured, why not give it a shot for $398? It can't be that bad, and if it is, I can always return it. So I got it yesterday. It took about 45 minutes to put together. It came pretty nicely packed in this box. The one thing on this box was this end was torn open, but nothing was really damaged. When I opened it up, everything was packed. There's tons of big zip ties on it, so you will need to have a pair of clippers to cut those zip ties. Once I got it out, there wasn't much to install. The pedals needed to be put on, the stem needed to be put into the headset, and the front wheel needed to be put on. And then they also gave me a front fender that I don't think I'm going to put on because eventually they end up starting to rattle anyway. Other than that, battery needed to be charged for at least 4 hours before we could use it, and the brakes needed to be adjusted, as well as the headset was super tight, and so I had to loosen that and kind of adjust it a little bit to get the forks to turn. Two things that you'll notice I did put on already was a bottle cage here, because there's really no other place for one. So I picked this up on Amazon for probably $15. It's got a mount for the handlebars, and then I put a little light on the front instead of the reflector. Other than that, I haven't done anything to it. Again, I just put it together yesterday. A couple things I will point out that I didn't really like that were issues. One was the chain guard. You can see there it's got a big bend in it, or a dent, and that was probably done in packing or shipping. So I had to take that off, and that leaves you with these brackets that are somewhat unsightly, but you know, do you need the chain guard? You know, do you not need it? I mean, if you're wearing real loose pants or a skirt or something, maybe it might get caught in the chain, but I don't know. I'm going to call Hyper and see if they'll send me a new one and maybe put it back on. Otherwise, we'll just leave it off. It does have this little plastic chain guard thing here. I'm impressed with the welds and the aluminum frame. That's pretty nice. The crank arms are really thin and kind of flimsy. But again, it's not a heavy-duty mountain bike or anything like that, so they should last. The pedals are subpar. Most people do comment on these. They don't spin very well, so that'll definitely be an upgrade to come. It comes with a rack already pre-installed with a huge tail light on it, and a spring-loaded kind of mousetrap hold down. The seat that comes with it is very basic, very uncomfortable. That will absolutely be changed, will be changed out. And then the other issue that I found was the seat clamp that came with it is massive, number one. Number two, it doesn't really have the holding power to hold the seat in. So I had an old XLC off one of my mountain bikes that I put on here, which seemed to do the trick. So the seat will definitely be switched out. Seat clamp was already switched out. The grips are nice. We'll start up here and we'll kind of work our way down. The grips are ergonomic with the little, heel section here. They do twist if you pull on them. So a locking pair of grips might be an upgrade that we'll probably get to. It does come with a 6-speed Shimano grip shifter, the Revo Shift, which is their basic grip shift. It's only 6 speeds, and that's really all you need with the electric assist, so you don't have a derailleur up on the front. Let's see, moving down, the brake levers are okay. They do wobble a little bit, which is to be expected on a low-end bike. Moving across, like I said, I did add the headlight and the bottle cage. The stem does go straight through, so this is probably a open bearing or unsealed headset. And then the stem goes down and has a spacer that spreads apart when you tighten it. You'll have to do that when you get the bike. Moving across here, we have the power station, and to activate that you first need to turn on the battery, which I said in the beginning needs to be charged a full 4 hours before you use it. So I did leave this on charge for quite a bit longer than that. Push and hold that button, it'll light up and show you that it does have a full charge with all 3 lights. Moving back up here to turn it on, press that button, it'll go through its stages, and then it'll show you how much power you have and then your modes. So you do have a low, medium, and high. So to click through those, you just push this button, it'll go through the modes. And then you have a walk mode. If you're going to be walking your bike up a hill that's a little bit too much, you can push that walk mode and it'll assist you as you push the bike up. So to turn it off, just push the button again, it turns off. And then go down here again, you have to turn the battery off too. So just press and hold that for a second and it'll turn off. Coming back up to the front, we'll go back down here to the forks. These are probably the most budget forks, shock forks that I've seen on a bike in quite a while, although I don't typically shop at Walmart for bikes, but again. So moving down, you have your brake bracket, which will also function as a holder for your front fender if you decided to use that. The brakes are okay. The pads are kind of a hard plastic. They weren't really adjusted. I had to do some adjustments on the tensioners as well as the cable on the front one to get them to work properly. But what you want is you want them to, both operate, and that can be done usually with these tensioners here. So moving down the shock fork here, you'll see it's just pressed metal here, which this could be a weak point eventually. And it doesn't come with a quick release skewer on the front. So if you want to pop the wheel off, you need a wrench and you need to take it off, and that, is a little time consuming, but hey, it's a budget bike. These little holes here are for the fender, which I don't think we're going to use. Tires are real basic, basic rubber. I don't know, some Chinese brand. And it's probably a single wall rim, steel spokes, kind of heavy and clunky, but hey, it's $398. Moving back, this is a cool feature that I didn't expect to see on a bike of this price point, and that's the internal cable routing. And so all the cables come down and they route through the frame and then go out to the bottom. And that's nice because you don't get them hung up on anything like that, especially if you're dealing with the electric. So moving straight on down, we already talked about the cranks, the pedals, and back brakes, same deal, needed adjustment. If she keeps it, I may end up replacing the back brakes just to something a little nicer so you get a better, crisper feel to them. Moving back down here to the rear derailleur, it's a Shimano Tourney, which is, again, low end, 6-speed. It does have a protector here in case you do lay the bike down, it won't damage anything back there. And then back to the hub, you have a 36 volt, 250 watt, Chinese branded hub motor. And then the one thing I did notice with that is when I was riding it, when you stop pedaling, it does continue to power the bike for, it feels like about 2 or 3 seconds, which is a little uncomfortable at first, and it's something I think you have to get used to, because the bike feels like it's under power, like you almost have a throttle, and then it kind of stops. So if you had to stop in a hurry, it's something that you definitely need to get used to. But not a deal breaker. I mean, all in all, it's a pretty decent bike for the money, and we'll see how it holds up. She currently rides a non-electric Marin that I picked up for a few years ago, which is an aluminum 18 speed, and she just loves it. So she didn't want to get rid of it, but to keep up with my e-bike, she's going to need to have an e-bike. So that's what we did. Again, this is the Hyper E-Ride City. You can pick up at walmart.com for right now $398. It comes in two colors. It comes in this black and gray, and then it comes in a powder blue version. Now, I purchased this about 2.5 weeks ago, and it took that long to get here. It shipped FedEx. I got a couple shipping delays, but eventually it made it. And I was not expecting much, so I'm pleasantly surprised with how it, how it's built, and we'll just have to see, if she likes the ride of it or not, whether we keep it. I think overall, it's a decent entry into the e-bike market. One other thing I forgot to mention, there's two ways to charge the battery. One, you can charge it on the bike with this little thing here. You just take this out, and here's your charging plug there, so you can plug that in and charge it while it's on the bike. And then on the other side here, you'll see there is a key, and this key, which I left in my garage, you turn the key and it releases the battery, which fills this entire area here. Battery comes out, you can set it on the counter and charge. They never recommend leaving one of these lithium batteries plugged in when it's not being monitored, because they could potentially combust, I guess, and start a fire. So you want to be aware of that when you're charging this thing. Charge it while you're home, just so you can monitor it. I wouldn't leave it on the charger and go away for a few days. Not something you want to do. So be aware of that. Again, you can charge it on the bike or off the bike. And it's nice if you take it off the bike is a little bit lighter. And so if you're loading it on a rack or something, you can reduce the weight by taking the battery out. I will put the specs of weight and stuff like that in the description of the video below. But I know a lot of people have purchased this thing and have done some reviews on it. It is what it is. It's a $398 e-bike. So give it a shot. If you don't want to invest or risk a bunch of money on an e-bike, you can either return it right away if it's damaged or you don't like it, or you could potentially resell it for pretty much what you paid for it, I think. So we'll see. We're going to go for a ride this afternoon because it is nice today. So we're going to give it a shot and see how my wife likes the new e-bike, and go from there. But thanks for watching. I'm going to be doing more reviews on this channel at some point. That's probably the goal of this thing, is to do reviews on things that I buy and sell and things of that nature. So anyway, one other thing before I forget, you will have to put air in the tires because they come with about 20 psi. They recommend anywhere from 60 to 80 psi. I put them at 55 because she's about 130 pounds, and it's a more comfortable ride at 60 pounds rather than bumping them way up. It's going to be a rough ride. The shocks are what they are. They're not going to give you a ton of comfort, and the seat, that's definitely got to be upgraded. One last thing before I sign off on this video is the height. It says it's good for riders 5'4" and up. I don't believe someone 5'4" would be able to ride this bike, because even with the seat all the way down, it's about a 34-inch seat height. And there's no way you're touching the ground if you're 5'4" with a 34-inch seat height. So I would say more on the lines of 5'7" to 6 foot. So even with the seat, like I said, all the way down, so there's no real option to put a shock absorbing seat post on that, because then it's going to take the seat height up to like 38 inches, 37 inches, and that's just, you got to be 6 foot to get on that thing. But with the step through design, you can always hop off if you need to step foot down. But even on this with the seat all the way down at 5'7", I think she's still going to be somewhat on the toes. But anyway, thought I'd mention that because that's important, because it's a little misleading that it says 5'4". 5'4" is a struggle unless you hop off the seat every time you want to take a stop. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. I'm going to try and start this channel up, have some reviews on all kinds of stuff that I do as far as biking, cars, surfing, travel, all kinds of stuff. So we'll see how it goes. Thanks again for watching. Peace.